It's my show about nothing mini-pod, and today I'll be talking about the Daywalker himself, Blade. So I've been thinking about making this video for a while, but with, spoiler alert, the recent appearance of Blade in a certain Marvel cinematic feature, I figured there was no better time. There's a lot to be said about Blade's abilities and his training. He has superhuman strength, stamina, speed, agility, senses, and an accelerated healing factor. He's a very skilled fighter with an expertise with weapons like swords and daggers. There's a lot to be said about Blade's physical abilities, so instead of giving you a superficial, fragmented overview of all the training involved, we'll break this down into chapters, if you will. So in this video or chapter, we'll go into the finer details of how Blade could train to develop the brute strength to overpower vampires who also have superhuman strength. Blade, or Eric Brooks, is a human-vampire hybrid. His unique abilities come from his mother being bitten by a vampire while she was pregnant. This inadvertently transferred vampiric enzymes to Eric, granting him immunity to vampire bites and an extended lifespan, along with all the enhanced abilities of a vampire, but none of the drawbacks, such as being allergic to sunlight. Growing up an orphan, he was found and trained by Jamal Afari. Not sure if I said that name right, but anyway, he was a seasoned vampire hunter who was incidentally also a jazz musician, which I find to be the most badass part of the whole story. Jamal taught him the skills needed to combat the undead, so Blade became the boogeyman to monsters. To be the boogeyman though, Blade needs to train to be as strong as possible, to overpower vampires who also possess superhuman strength. Because if he didn't train for this, they'd be playing on equal fields, just based on their natural super abilities. Strength is not just about lifting heavy objects, it's about the ability to exert maximum force in various combat scenarios. This kind of strength is essential for Blade to engage in intense battles, break through vampire defenses, and deliver devastating blows. All sounds very dramatic. But achieving this level of strength requires a comprehensive understanding and training of all 7 types of muscular strength. Yes, I said 7. There's more than one type of strength, and if you don't know how to train each one of them, you're leaving a lot of your physical preparedness on the table. So here are the 7 main types. Now before I go on, I just want to point out that most of the time when you discuss strength, you refer to the 3 primary types: maximum, explosive, and strength endurance, because these overlap the others. But when you're talking about training for vampire hunting, I think it's important to have a more comprehensive understanding and approach. But there are a lot of methods for all of these types of strength. So at the end of this video, I'll actually show you a 1-week sample program for Blade that covers all of this. So I guess it makes sense to start by talking about max strength, because that's where most people's minds go when speaking about strength. Max strength is sometimes also called absolute strength, but really the most appropriate name for it is limit strength, because that's what you can actually train. You see, limit strength is the maximum amount of force you can produce voluntarily, while absolute strength includes the maximum force you can produce with the help of external factors, like adrenaline. The most specific and proven way to increase this limit strength is by doing compound movements for multiple sets of 1 to 3 reps, using 90 to 100% of the heaviest weight you can lift one time. It really doesn't matter if you use percentage of 1 rep max or RPE, as long as the load you are using is close to the maximum load that you are capable of lifting once. Blade would need to train max strength in all planes of movement. That means he needs to train the typical squat pattern, hinge pattern through deadlift variations, horizontal pressing strength, and vertical pressing strength. But he isn't training just to put up bigger numbers in basic compound lifts. If we want to train like him, we'd also need to build max strength with exercises that challenge total stability, require balance, or move through multiple planes of movement. Split stance squats or suitcase deadlifts are a great way to challenge this. You'd also need to build max pulling strength, something often forgot about but extremely important for someone grappling with super strong bloodsuckers. Weighted pull-ups or inverted bodyweight rows are great for this. Next is starting strength, which often gets lumped into max strength training, but sometimes needs to specifically be trained. Starting strength is the ability to exert maximal force quickly from a dead stop, or at the beginning of the movement. Blade would need starting strength to quickly throw powerful punches, push through someone, or break free from tight grips in a fight. To train this like Blade, you could do dead start or pin squats and presses where the bar starts resting on the safeties. You get set up and braced under the bar, and then you explosively move the bar. You can do multiple sets of 1 to 3 reps, working up to a heavy weight that you can still move somewhat explosively. Explosive strength is another key that would help Blade to literally kick the crap out of the undead. This is defined as the ability to exert a maximum amount of force in the shortest possible time interval. Just because you can move a lot of weight doesn't mean you can move it quickly. And if you can't move it quickly, you have no explosive power, which means that all that strength is useless in a Mexican standoff with monsters. Blade needs to train the ability to use all that force for quick, powerful movements, like jumping, kicking, throwing, punching, and tackling. There are a lot of ways that he could do this, but I'll give you one lower body and one upper body example you can use. For upper body explosive strength, you could do plyometric push-ups, where you push off the ground with enough force to lift your hands off the ground. And for lower body, you could do trap bar jumps, combining the load of a deadlift with explosive movement of a jump. If you don't have a trap bar, you could do dumbbell squat jumps instead. When talking about explosive strength, sometimes you also hear a subcategory called dynamic strength, and I think it's worth mentioning here. Dynamic strength is the ability to exert force rapidly in various directions. When we talked about training explosive strength, we were talking about just training the quality of exerting force quickly. So a lot of the exercises we choose are pretty linear in nature. But Blade needs to train his body to generate force in multiple directions, simulating combat movements. So he needs to do movements that combine explosive power with rotational and lateral stability and agility. To do this, you can combine linear, lateral, and rotational med ball slams to develop this dynamic multi-directional power through a full range of motion. This heavy med ball slam with rotational throw is a great way to do this. Slam the ball to the ground with maximum force, then immediately rotate your torso and throw it to the side. Then other options include rotationally throwing a smaller med ball against a wall in the same manner that you would throw a hook, and then throwing it in an upward diagonal angle as if you were drawing a sword to cut the head off one of those pesky vampires. You can also combine med ball slams with lateral hops like I show here. This trains lateral stability and agility with power. This is also something that you can do when you train something called agile strength, which we'll go over later. Last, you could do mace swings and cross-body sandbag shouldering, alternating sides. This would enhance Blade's ability to maintain stability and power through rotational movements, crucial for his fighting style. So I hope you're paying attention because I'm about to confuse you more. Next up is speed strength. Speed strength is the ability to move quickly under load, distinct from explosive strength in that it involves sustained high-speed movements. So basically, explosive strength is the ability to generate a lot of force very quickly, like when jumping or throwing a punch, while speed strength focusing on moving a moderate load rapidly, which is important for quick, continuous, and repetitive movements, like rapid strikes or dodging attacks. Blade needs explosive strength for powerful sudden attacks, and speed strength to maintain high-speed combat and evade attacks efficiently. So to build speed strength in the lower body, you could do band-resisted speed deadlifts, focusing on lifting the bar as quickly as possible while maintaining good form. Due to the band stretching, the resistance increases as you lift, forcing you to accelerate through the entire range of motion. You can do the same with a bench press or a landmine push press for the upper body. Two more unique exercises Blade might use would be a plyo push-up with band resistance and a band-resisted sprint. For the band-resisted plyo push-up, place a resistance band across your upper back and anchor it to a squat rack, like I show here. Or you could just put it under your hands. Perform a plyometric push-up, pushing yourself off the ground as quickly as possible. The band adds resistance, increasing the effort required to complete each rep. Improving your speed strength by training your muscles to generate force quickly, even under added resistance. Using resistance bands during sprints, even just sprint starts, adds extra load, improving the ability to accelerate quickly. This exercise builds speed and the ability to exert force rapidly. This would enhance Blade's ability to repeatedly close distances quickly and deliver rapid strikes. Next up is agile strength. You need this for, you guessed it, agility. Specifically, this is the ability to decelerate, control, and generate muscle force in a multi-directional environment. Blade might do cone drills while wearing a weighted vest. Running through cone drills with quick changes in direction builds agile strength, improving the ability to swiftly change movements and positions. Traditional cone drills are used to improve agility and quick direction changes. Adding a weighted vest increases the difficulty and improves strength. There's a ton of different cone drills you can find for athletic development, but setting cones up in a simple zigzag pattern is a good start. Wearing a weighted vest, sprint to the first cone, touch the ground, then quickly change direction to the next cone. Repeat for the entire course. Jumping laterally on a box also helps improve lateral explosiveness and coordination, essential for dodging and swift movement in combat. You could focus a bit more on the strength aspect of this by once again adding a weighted vest, but be sure to build up to this and make sure your body's prepared to take that type of impact. Not to be outdone by any of those other types of strength, let's talk about strength endurance. Strength endurance is the ability to sustain repeated muscle contractions or maintain a contraction for an extended period without significant fatigue. It combines elements of strength and stamina, allowing you to perform activities that require continuous effort, like running, fighting, and body slamming vampires over and over. Blade obviously needs an incredible amount of strength endurance to maintain high-intensity combat performance during prolonged battles against multiple vampires without losing strength or effectiveness. For the upper body, you can do things like push-up or inverted row mechanical drop sets, where you do one giant set, first starting with some type of load on you, doing as many reps as you can with that, then removing the weight, once again doing as many reps as you can, and finally switching to some type of regression where you're assisted or in some type of position that makes it easier to try to pump out as many more reps as those vampiric enzyme-infused muscles will allow. Using battle ropes are also another great option for upper body strength endurance. You can do repeated slams or waves for high rep sets or some set interval of time with minimal rest. For lower body strength endurance, front foot elevated deep split squats are a great way to build single leg endurance, crucial for maintaining power through long fights, while the deep range of motion and full knee flexion promotes joint health. Kettlebell swings build full body strength endurance and is one of my personal favorites. Among other things, high repetition or time interval kettlebell swings with short rest periods helps develop endurance in the posterior chain, critical for sustained combat. Last, every bodyweight exercise lover's favorite type of strength, relative strength. Simply put, relative strength is the amount of strength relative to body weight. Blade would definitely do various pull-up or push-up variations for the upper body and single leg squat variations for the lower body to maximize the strength to weight ratio. These would all be done for high rep sets. Then another way you can maximize relative strength like Blade would be to do these same mechanical drop sets that I described when I was talking about strength endurance. You could do this for pull-ups where you first do as many reps as you can with added weight to basically pre-fatigue yourself, take a very brief rest, and then try to do as many body weight reps as possible. Now I know I said there were 7 main agreed upon types of strength, but just hear me out, because I want to touch on a couple other factors of strength that don't fit neatly into what I've just outlined here. Isometric strength isn't always classified as one of the main types of muscular strength, but instead, training isometric strength can be used to enhance several of the main types. Isometric strength training is a unique type of strength training that involves muscle contraction without movement, like holding statically a squat, whereas most other contractions are isotonic, where the muscles generate force by changing length, such as lifting or lowering a weight. This isometric training can be used to build other types of strength like max strength and strength endurance. For max strength, you can do an iso deadlift, where you pull the barbell into the safety pins as hard as possible for about 6 seconds. This enhances neuromuscular adaptation, which makes the muscles and nervous system become more coordinated. Isometric training can improve strength endurance with exercises like sitting in a squat on tension for long periods of time. Grip strength is another facet of isometric training. Grip strength is really important for Blade because a strong grip ensures he can maintain control over his swords and other gear, even when facing powerful vampires that might try to disarm him. Great ways to train grip strength that can also build overall strength are farmer's carries and doing deadlifts with specialty bars that are thicker than normal, or with the use of fat grips. Alright, admittedly that was a lot to learn, but as promised, here's the 1-week strength focused sample program for Blade that covers all this. You can pause the video to check this out or follow the link below. Remember, this is only chapter 1 of my Blade series, so this program is just focused on building strength. Let me know in the comments if you give this a try and if it makes you feel strong enough to go on your first vampire hunt. But if you don't go on your vampire hunt and you still found this interesting, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you like chapter 2 of my Blade training series to be about. And I'll see you next time they shine my light in the sky.